Someone not the pilot. Go to hell, tell Elisa we know before.
Hello, Biafrans.
Go to pilot until they come out. Someone not the pilot. Go to hell, tell Elisa we know before.
Hello,
go to pilot until they come out. Someone not the pilot. Go to hell, tell Elisa we know before.
Hello, Biafrans. Ogechi, Ogechi, Kama. Ogechi, Ogechi, Kama. Ogechi, Ogechi, Kama. Ogechi, Ogechi, Kama. Thank you, thank you. On behalf of my boss, my Prime Minister, I'm here again on the day 2 of our journey. And we have been going to Washington, D.C. lately, meeting with Congress, and we are opportune to meet with the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And if you all don't know, Mike Johnson is the #3 ranking most powerful person on earth. After the president, you have the vice president, then the Speaker of the House. And we have met with a lot of Congress men and women, and we have somebody who make that happen. That is the Jimora firm. We have our lobbyist here with us, Elias. I call him my friend, and I call him my brother. So we have been in this journey together. Please welcome Elias. Elias will be doing a really great job. Thank you. Take the stage.
Thank you. Thank you for that very generous introduction from the Minister of Finance. Please give him a round of applause for his tireless dedication to the government, and I appreciate his tremendous support. I also want to provide thanks to the Supreme Leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, to the Prime Minister, His Excellency Simon Ekpa, to the Chief of Staff, Dr. Oro Boezi, and all of the honorable cabinet ministers we have here today. To all the dignitaries, and most importantly to the people of Biafra. Thank you. I also want to provide my personal wishes and prayers for the Prime Minister and his family during this challenging time, and will support him to see him through this moment of challenge. I also want to pass along the regards of my colleague, former Congressman Jim Moran, who wanted to come but could not do so due to some personal obligations. I just want to speak extemporaneously for a moment. I didn't write my speech, but I just want to make some comments about how I got involved in this wonderful movement, in the struggle, because I do think, looking back retroactively, I think there was a divine providence that brought me into this. So it was very interesting. I've known about Biafra for some years. I knew about the indigenous people, Biafra, the IPOB, was not involved. One day, by complete accident, online, when doing some research, I came across this Biafra Republic Government Exile website, and I was very surprised. I thought to myself, when did a Biafra government come into being? So I clicked on the website, I looked through it, I became more and more interested. And then I came across a profile of Simon Ekpa, and I thought, who is this Prime Minister Ekpa? And yeah. So I became more and more intrigued. I went to his Wikipedia, I read it, talking about all the work he's doing, how he's based in Finland, and I became more and more intrigued. I was like, this is such an interesting person. I have to find out what's going on here. So I sent an email to the general email of the Biafra Republic Government Exile website, just saying that I was interested in learning more about the organization, because I was genuinely curious. This seemed very fascinating to me. And I received back an email personally from the Prime Minister saying he wanted to speak with me. So we spoke for the first time, and I was immediately impressed. I saw how brilliant he was. I saw that he was a visionary leader. I saw that he knew he was doing, how tactical he was. But most important, I saw that he had the special, intangible qualities of a leader and a historic leader. And I immediately knew there's something very special here. And this is something I've experienced with. I've dealt with leaders, presidents, prime ministers all over the world of different countries. My own family, I come from a revolutionary family in Greece where we've had many generations of freedom fighters. So I have a good instinct when it comes to who has leadership qualities. And I could tell, okay, this person has something very special. And if I work with him, I think we could actually achieve what he wants to achieve. Yes. So over time, over many months, we developed a very close personal relationship. And also, he saw something in me, and he said, I really want you to get involved in this. I want you to be part of this cause. And so I began formally my lobbying representation in June this year. And I think in a few months, we've changed the course of history. So I think there are larger forces at play, and I'm very glad that divine providence has brought me into this and will see us through this and to the goal that we want to achieve. And when I first started this journey, when I first was presented by the Prime Minister to the Biafran people, I said that I'll not only be a lobbyist, but a fellow freedom fighter for the independence of Biafra. And today I greet you as victorious independence fighters, because that's what you are. Yeah, my friends, this occasion is an illustrious one that will forever be in our hearts and will be passed along to future posterity as a seminal moment in our great struggle for freedom. The independence of Biafra will not only be a symbol of hope for the continent of Africa, but the entire world. Biafra will be a symbol of pride. In the 1960s, President John F. Kennedy and the United States government played an important role in supporting the decolonization of Africa and supporting various African independence leaders and African nationalist movements. President Kennedy understood that supporting the African people rather than the European colonists was not only the right thing to do and the moral thing to do, but in the interests of the United States, which at the time had been competing with the Soviet Union for influence in Africa and throughout the world. Similarly, in this new age of great power competition, the United States has an obligation to support the new African independence movements of the 21st century and put an end to the legacy of neocolonialism in Africa. And Nigeria is one of the worst examples of neocolonialism, a failed British project. And the rise of Biafra will put an end to this nonsense in Africa. As the Biafran government lobbyist in Washington, D.C., I've taken the Biafran message, or we could even say the Biafran gospel, to the highest levels. We have spoken to the Congress. We have spoken to the White House. We have spoken to the think tanks and the decision makers in Washington. As the finance minister said, we have met with and presented the Biafra Charter to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, the third highest level official in the United States government. And we've met with many members of Congress. The results have been overwhelmingly positive. We have received overwhelming support. We've already received many commitments. Not a single member of Congress or U.S. official that I've met with have expressed any support for Nigeria. So we're on the right track, and we're in a very good position as we move into the future. At this convention, we will have speakers from the most prestigious think tanks in Washington, D.C., including the Cato Institute, the American Enterprise Institute, and In Defense of Christians. We have seen the fruits of this engagement with powerful longtime U.S. diplomats such as Ambassador Tibor Nagy and the American Enterprise Institute, Dr. Michael Rubin, who will be speaking at this convention. Highlighting the plight of the Prime Minister's detention, even critiquing Finland for what's happening, which is very significant. And in fact, there are articles in the news recently talking about the shock that people have about U.S. officials supporting the Prime Minister during the current detention. So this shows you the impact of what we're doing. In the next upcoming U.S. presidential administration, I believe there will be a number of independent African states or emerging African states which will be which will have their independence recognized. Yes. There are already many discussions. There's already talk about, for example, recognizing Somaliland as independent from Somalia in the coming Trump administration. With our work in Washington, D.C., we will guarantee Biafra is on that list of countries to be recognized. We will achieve U.S. recognition of Biafra. We're already very close. We're not far away. And once we have that recognition, it will be very easy to get UN recognition, other recognition, as I've said before, where the U.S. leads, others follow. So we will get there. I have also, through my international contacts, interacting with world leaders, have put out feelers about Biafra to other independent states, including in Africa. As you heard, my good friend and my other client, the president of the Eritrean government in exile, recognizes and will be the first country to recognize the United States of Biafra. As President Badarai noted, while Eritrea gained independence from Ethiopia in 1991, the people of Eritrea have been under a brutal dictatorship since that time and have not had their freedom. And President Badarai wants to bring freedom and democracy to his people, and it's been an honor to represent his cause in Washington, and he is very strongly supported by our government over the current dictatorship in Eritrea. So his recognition of Biafra is very significant. And I believe through what he's doing, through other contacts we're making, I think we can get recognition for Biafra from other states in Africa and other countries as well. So we'll be having a lot of conversations outside the U.S. government with other governments that are sympathetic, and I think we could make a lot of international progress. Biafra's struggle for independence is a sublime one, in which the lands of its indigenous people can finally take control of their own destiny. For too long, the people of Biafra have suffered under colonial bondage and now neo-colonial oppression, being forced to be under the Nigerian yoke. With the declaration of the restoration of the independent state of Biafra, that is all finished with. Let us strive to create a new nation which will serve its people and be an example to the world. My fellow Biafrans, my fellow freedom fighters, long live independence, long live an independent and sovereign Biafra. Thank you.
Biafra, in Him we trust. Shout it, sing it, all hail Biafra. God bless Biafra. We have emerged triumphant from all our foes. Through the cross the unscathed, we must victorious. Our trumpets Oh, hail Biafra, we shall always remember all that perished in the struggle for our freedom. All hail our heroes, our precious men, who day and night save them always. All hail Biafra. Our star shines everywhere. Brave humanity, God guide and protect us all. All hail your wisdom, shielding us from shine on and night and night. Biafra, shining.
Super greetings to Biafran people. We are here again. And today, we have traveled all the way to Washington, D.C. to bring the iconic engine, the political and the diplomatic engine of Biafra, alongside with our APM. We know they play, we know the joke. Today, when I go hear the gist, you go watara. So, the day for backstage, make una know the Shiva, make una cool down. We they carry them come. We just want to show una our faces first. Make una know say now now we go bring them come. They are behind the scene. We are going to bring them. So before we usher them in, let us just introduce ourselves so that you know the men and women that have been making some things happen, and all of you that are there in the space, Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere. I salute all of you. My Minister Ajare, please say hi to Biafrans in a minute so that we can hit on to the main issue of the day.
Thank you, my able Minister of Information. Thank you so very much. Fellow Biafrans and lovers of freedom, thank you. Thank you, my honorable colleagues and ministers in partner, Mazi, Paul Onwubiko, aka 555, and our own Ada Betty. Thank you so much. Okute TV, thank you so much. Our Ibotik minister, I appreciate you. Thank you. And lovers of freedom, we are here to celebrate with Biafrans and to bring good tidings. And I want you to know that you are on the right side of history. Blessed art thou amongst men, for the fact that you are on the right side of history. And history will always remember you because you are standing for truth. And may the blessings of Biafra locate you today as you will keep your ears glued to this particular broadcast as we move. Airborne! I am Raphael Chamaka Ajere, aka Pastor Vam Vam Vam.
Ayale.
Deputy Minister of Communications, Biafra Republic Government in Exile. And I am blessed to be deputy to this great Philip F. Young of our time. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
God bless you. Ayale. God bless you. I salute Biafra. So I give the mic to Biafra Vision. Biafra Vision, in 1 minute, introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, thank you, Biafrans. Thank you, all of us of freedom. We're sending our greetings to everyone, our acting prime minister, and let us hear from our angel. God sent him to come and search for us, and he found us. He said he will deliver Biafra because he know the people. We are right there in the gate, knowing the truth, following the truth, and receiving a good result. Thank you, lovers of freedom. Thank you, my able Minister of Information, Van Dabeti, Okute TV1. We hear you. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Paul. Minister Deputy, over to you. 1 minute, introduce yourself to Biafra.
Thank you, my minister. Wonderful Biafrans, lovers of freedom. We're together in this. I love you all from the bottom of my heart. And our greetings and the most regard always goes to our supreme leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and our indomitable Prime Minister. We welcome you. Thank you, my minister.
Thank you, Minister Betty and Okute Biafra TV. Say hi to Biafrans in your own way.
Great Biafran, good evening, everybody. Our information minister, Ezoku Bundu One Lala Biafra. Double to wale to you. Mazi Ajale, Adagile Ezoku. Double to wale to you. Mazi Paul Onwubiko 55 Vision. Biko La Fry Vision Ala Galilo. Adabeti, double to wale. And the greetings of every Biafran. Ebobole no Udo Drege. Nde wonu. Yagazie.
Thank you. Biafran people, these are the men that have been making things happen. They are more than this, but these are just the few that are able to enter the studio. They are there scattered on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, holding spaces, day in, day out, 247, spreading the good news of Biafra to all of you. We salute all of you, and I'm very, very happy to have a team like all of you working together for one unity of purpose, and that is Biafra. Yes, thank you so much for being here. And at this very point, we will go looking for the big fishes of the day. Oh, wow! Hey! It's good to have Mr. Elias in the house and our honorable APM. I guess this is the first official interview that the Biafran people are going to be talking to Minister that we have termed him and Mazi and Obong and Didem Elias since after the convention. Biafrans were so overwhelmed of your presence in the convention, and they say, we love you so much. Then we have our honorable APM, the man that has been making things happen, the man that has been taking the bullet, the man that has actually become a turmoil to the enemies of Biafra. We salute you for all you do. So, without taking much time, and Biafran people have waited so long to have the audience of the two of you. Mr. Elias, welcome to the show. In your opening speech at the convention, you did say, grace and providence, divine providence, specifically is what you said, brought you to the circle of the Biafran sphere. How do you introduce yourself to Biafran people before we go on?
Well, I just want to say, Mr. Minister, it's an honor to be here with you and our wonderful dear friend, the Brgie acting Prime Minister, Ogochukwu Nikere, who's a very dear friend. And he also always addresses me as a friend as well. So it's good to be amongst friends and to address the people of Biafra. Part of the reason of coming on is to provide an update on developments, on our activities. Another part, personal motivation as well, is I've been off social media a little bit because there was unfortunately an attempted hacking of my Twitter account. I'm not sure if it was from Nigerian agents or Cameroonian agents or Eritrean agents. I've made a lot of enemies, but I want to communicate, since that issue is still, I'm still working with Twitter to resolve that issue. I want to make sure that Biafrans know that I'm here and continuing what I'm always doing, and I want to have the opportunity to address them directly. I think since the convention, what has happened since then, and me working with the acting Prime Minister to put the Biafra government back on a solid footing has, I think, even further verified my belief that there is a greater purpose or providential purpose for my being involved in the Biafra government and the Biafra movement. So it's just a tremendous honor to be here, and I look forward to our discussion to further elaborate upon our developments and activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister and Obong and Mazi and Mr. Elias, Edidem Elias. All these titles are what the Biafran people have attributed to you. And we long to see you in the land of Biafra someday. Thank you so much for that introductory part of you. Yes, we go to our Honorable APM, the man with swag, the Ejima Minister with swag, through the democratic process of the Biafran people, who has now taken upon himself the heavy responsibility of acting instead of the Prime Minister. Acting Prime Minister Okechukwu Nkere, welcome to the show. Are you winning the war of the terrorist Islamic jihadists in Biafra land against the massacre of the Biafran people? Or are you waiting for your Prime Minister to restore?
Thank you, Honorable Minister of Information. Before I proceed, I must recognize our past leaders, Mazi Ojukwu and our leader, Philip Efiam. We appreciate all they have done. I will remember them. And we also remember our leader, Mazin Namdekan, that was kidnapped from Kenya for the same cause that I have embarked on as well. We appreciate. And we also remember our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ebon, who is currently in the hand of the Finnish authority, going through some questions. So hopefully both leaders will be with us shortly. And greetings to fellow Brgie, Biafra Republic Government in Exile cabinet members, admins rep, and greetings to all fellow Biafrans, both the genuine ones and the ones that will still turn around and embrace our cause. And back to the question. The question is that, the answer is that this journey that we have embarked on, there is no going back. And we can't fold our hand waiting until our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa, of which I'm representing, acting on his behalf. We can't wait until he's out before we liberate our land, just like the same way we didn't wait for our leader, Mazi Namdekan, to be released before we redeclare Biafra. So we are in a moving train, and we are winning. We are determined to get our land back. So the answer is that we are winning. Thank you. And let me also Want to say my good friend here, Elias, thank you for being with Biafran people today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to have the two gentlemen in the studio who have been doing tremendously well for the Biafran people. Prime Minister is in detention, and all Biafrans have been in a state of emergency, so to say. Honorable Acting Prime Minister, what is the state of our Prime Minister of the Biafran people as we speak now?
Our Prime Minister, he's in high spirit, and he knows everything that is going on. That's why he wants all Biafrans to unite, especially the ones that have gone astray, for them to do the right thing by coming back to the same course where he is before he was called. So, and just like I said earlier, we wish, hopefully, that he will join us in no distant time. So he knows everything that is going on, and he's healthy, and he always send his warm greeting to Biafrans, especially for us to remain resolute and keep fighting without giving our enemy the space that they want, so that because at the end, what the enemies want is how to distract or how to divert our attention into chasing shadow instead of focusing on the mandate of total liberation from the hand of our enemy, the Nigerian terrorist state. Thank you.
Thank you, APM. It seems you know your onions, and you seem to be catching up with all my questions. And I hope I will catch you where you will not be able to run away from all my questions as we continue. Our Obong Mazi Edidem, Mr. Elias, the political and the diplomatic engine of Biafra. You said something. Nigeria is a product of neo-colonialism, and Biafra recognition and restoration and liberation will bring an end to that. How do you intend to do that for the Biafran people through the moral global strategist?
Right. Well, thank you for your very good question. What we're engaged in, there is the military component, right, which is being addressed by the forces on the ground. But in any successful establishment of a newly independent state, you also have to win the diplomatic war. And that's what we're engaged in here in Washington, D.C., educating U.S. policymakers about Biafra, about what's happening, and why the U.S. government should support our cause. We've produced a lot of awareness for our issue during the past 7 months, and we're now moving to additional stages of turning that awareness and that sympathy into tangible actions and programs to further support the Biafran cause. I think with the diplomatic support, coupled with success in the homeland, that will be the key recipe for achieving our newly independent, or rather establishing our newly independent Biafran state. So we've had the referendum, we've had the declaration, and the immensely successful convention in Finland. Now is the next step to go from a declaration to recognition, and that's going to take a lot of work. We've done a lot of work, but there's a lot more work to do. And you see already the echoes of support from officials in DC, but there's a lot more to be done. We have a new Congress, a new administration. We want to build upon the foundation that we've created politically during the past 7 months, and now really further that with the new administration, and we have an enormous opportunity. So I think we will continue to make significant progress, and I'm very excited about what we can achieve. So we are waging the diplomatic war, and the opportunity is just perfect now with the new Congress, the new administration, shifts in geopolitical events. You see the distancing between the U.S. and Europe. You see the U.S. interested in the U.S. government now under the current administration, interested in making deals with other governments. I think very likely sometime this year, the Trump administration, the U.S. government will recognize the government of Somaliland as the newest independent state in Africa, which will further give us momentum for what it is that we want to do, right? So I think the timing is perfect, and we are needed here in order to seize the opportunity, right? Because if we approach President Trump and the people around him with a deal on Biafra, I think something can happen. But what Biafrans have to understand is that it's not going to be the U.S. government, or it's not going to be President Trump that goes out of his way. And the President of the United States is not waking up in the morning thinking about Biafra as the first thing. But if we're the ones to bring the issue to the president and to the people around him, most importantly the State Department, the foreign policy team, we're in a position where I think we could work out a deal with the United States, in which case that could then be translated into a deal with the broader international community. So I think we're in a historic moment. I think everything is aligned if we seize the moment and if we have our act together. So that is my answer to your question.
Thank you, Honorable Elias. Are you worried that your principal client is in detention?
Well, it's very concerning. Simon's situation is very concerning. In fact, but even there, I think we have an opportunity. Vice President J.D. Vance talked about Europe and criticized Europe for their free speech record. And I think what we've seen in Finland with Simon, in Norway with Dr. Choyaba of the Amazonian leader, who I also represent, it shows that a lot of these European countries, unfortunately, have very poor record when it comes to free speech, human rights. They're willing to bend principles for rather odious foreign governments. Simon's situation is very concerning, not just from a professional point of view, but also on a personal point of view, because Simon and I became very good friends. So it's a concerning situation. We are addressing that situation. I think with our political influence, we can help Simon, but I can't really go into the specifics of what it is we're doing or planning to do on that front. Just Biafran should know that I am using my influence, and I do have plans to use our political influence here in Washington to help Simon, but I'm not going to broadcast in what way I plan to do that. Especially, I know the Nigerians and their agents and saboteurs and whomever, they monitor everything I do and say. So I'm not going to broadcast my game plan to the enemy. But Biafran should know that I'm involved in Simon's in helping Simon, and I will. I think, because ultimately, what Finland's doing is highly political. I think everyone can see that. With the president of Nigeria and Tinubu and his contacts with Finnish representatives, and it's clear what's happening. So I think with political pressure, we can help Simon get out of the predicament he's in. And I will work towards that end in whatever in the ways that we have decided, which I will not broadcast publicly.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Elias. Thank you so much, and that has answered the question of what are you doing to see your principal clients released. That what you just said now have just answered that question. Let me rush over to my APM before I come back to you again. I wouldn't want to hit you bomber to bomber with questions. I will give you some and then you cool down. I'll go over to my APM and then I'll come back to you again. So, my honorable APM, welcome back again. My honorable APM, there has been some quagmires within the Biafran government, and you have taken too many bullets. And at this very point, I'm going to digress. But I crave your indulgence to be plausible to the Biafran people with your answers to questions that has been on the media, be it personal or be it to the interests of the Biafran government. The Biafran people wants to know so that your name will not continue to litter the media with blackmail and propaganda. And this will in turn comes back to our international lobbyist. Your name has been circulated on the media of collecting 15 million naira and then producing 3 uniforms. They have called you criminals, and it wasn't just your name. Sonny's name was also there. Ajare's name was also there. And they have used this to criminalize everyone seen working in tandem with the precepts of the Prime Minister and BRGIE. Did you produce 3 uniforms of police at the convention for 15 million naira?
Thank you, Honorable, for information again. When you talk about blackmail and propaganda, so we all know what the enemy wants. So they're doing whatever they can to make sure that Biafra is not actualized. So if you think that will stop, that will not stop. Even our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, if you recall, there's a time he said Nigeria have over 20 billion that they want to spend to stop our freedom. So they are always going to sponsor their puppet to make sure that our freedom is stopped. So propaganda, blackmail is normal. That is their tools. That always going to happen. It happened in the time when our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was here out with us. They call him names. They lie about him. The same people that are shouting our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that they love him, the same people that are shouting are the same people that are blackmailing him when he's with us, are the same people that work with the Nigerian terrorist state. So when you talk about propaganda, the same way applies to that. So they are always going to be blackmailing and propaganda. So when you come and talk about the 15 million for the uniform, I did not even know how the uniform that was used at our redeclaration in Finland, in Lahti, I don't know anything about that. I'm not part of that committee. I don't even know how the uniform get here. So I don't know how, whoever that is linking me to that is working with the zoo government, because all they want is how to bring me down, how to stop what we are doing, and how to stop our freedom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my APM. And for everyone that are not aware of the question I asked, these are the uniforms that Those that have been recruited to destroy everything that BRGI has done so far have used as a propaganda means. And you can see what they are writing there. And this is from, if you check the handler of this account, if you check the handler of this account, this is from Ogo247. And they have been circulating all this nonsense in the media. And those that do not know what the truth is have believed this propaganda. And today, the APM has clarified this. Okay, let's go to the next question. APM, as the Minister of Finance of the BRGI, how many officials of Biafran government in exile are on salary payroll?
This question is kind of, I don't know if I'm going to say funny. We all know that we are fighting for freedom. As a freedom fighter, you don't supposed to be paid. So it's all voluntary. So everyone in the brigade, both rep admin, are all volunteers. Both those that are serving in the de facto in homeland, they are all volunteers. So no one is paid. We don't have anyone on payroll or whether payroll basic or bi-weekly or salary. So we are all volunteers. So no one is being paid. I don't know if I answer your question correctly. Thank you.
Thank you, APM. I said my question could sound upside down, but it is to the interest of the Biafran people that you clarify them the way they come. Because these are some of the propagandas and blackmails and slanders that have been sent out there against BRGIE. And today the APM has just made everyone to know that no official of the BRGIE as a freedom fighter is on payroll. No one receives salary. No one receives compensation for anything. But the agent provocateurs that found themselves in BRGIE made themselves a vessel of destruction to be able to work against the Biafran people. Honorable APM, how are you coping with the cumbersome responsibilities that has come to your shoulder since the detention of the Prime Minister?
I know it's not easy, but one way or the other way, I have to work hard daily to make sure I do my best. And this torch will not quench at my wash. This torch will not quench at my wash. And having the backing of the brigade government, which everyone, they are working tirelessly day and night, trying to make sure that everything go as smooth. And we also try to do the best we can to bring the Biafran people that have been misled by some group or by some parallel government that was break away from the brigade. So we are doing the best we can every day, and through the media team, which you are the Honorable Minister of Information and Communication. So we try every day to educate Biafrans with truth and facts, to enlighten them, educate them, the reason they should come back, and let's finish this fight that we all have started. So if I'm telling you that it is easy, it is not, but I have to. It's a call for duty, and it's a call that I sworn, I take oath to make sure that I will fight as hard as I can to work for the Biafran people, for the interests of the Biafran. Thank you.
Are you worried that your APM is not here? One, are you worried of the sabotage that has ensued in the absence of the PM? Are you worried that there has been so many setbacks that it should have catapulted us into the next 25 years while the convention just finished? Are you worried of all these challenges?
To be honest with you, I'm not worried because based on history, we know how many years the South African fight during the apartheid regime. And we know how many wars the United States of America have fought for freedom before they get to where they are. So freedom is not given, but it's taken. So what we are doing or whatever the challenges that we are facing today is just that we Biafrans, we are not violent. We are so peaceful people. You know, we don't know how, you know, it's difficult for us to commit atrocity or to kill anyone because we don't believe in shedding blood because we are so peaceful. So what is happening is Biafrans are not really used to that. That's why after the genocidal war with the Nigerian terrorist state, so Biafrans actually don't really want something like that to happen because we don't want to lose one of our own and we don't want to kill anybody. So being so peaceful and godly people that don't want to shed blood, so the Biafran people are kind of concerned. So when whatever is happening, fellow Biafrans, please take a deep breath and remember it's just normal. It has happened to a lot of countries that got their freedom. You have to fight. So, and we Biafrans, we have to learn how to defend ourselves, fight, just like our forefathers did. Because our forefathers never allow invaders to invade our place. They have defended the land of Biafra. So of which I urge or encourage every Biafra of this generation to emulate and also make sure that we get used to the process of being free, because freedom is not going to hand over to the Biafran people in a platter of gold. You're always going to fight for your freedom and take your freedom. So I'm not worried because I know that in time immemorial, freedom is not free. Rather, you fight to get your freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable APM. And this one goes to Obong Mazi Ejidem, Mr. Elias. Mr. Elias, are you worried that the people you represent came out on the media? I mean, the breakaway groups and some foolish ones that do not know what freedom is all about. Are you worried that your name was used on the media and your face and written traitor and criminal, and they made all series of propagandas and blackmails against your person? Are you worried because of fighting for Biafra? Are you worried?
No, I'm not worried at all. You know, we first of all, I think in many ways the Biafra government is on a very strong footing now. You know, I think part of the issue in terms of why things went sideways after Simon's detention, again, which was completely uncalled for by Finland, but was the lack of proper structures and governance structures in place. And we've made a considerable effort to engage in institution building since Simon's detention, such that we have a much more structured government. And we've done that, including the creation of the bylaws of the Biafra Public Government in Exile, which I encourage all Biafrans to read and engage in. And those bylaws are extraordinarily detailed. And these rules and procedures will ensure that there's stability in the government, that the government is well run, and that if there are ever situations where leaders within the government are indisposed, that there's a continuity of transition. So I can assure Biafrans that with the reforms that we have made, with the governance structures that we put in place, myself working with the government, working with our attorney, Mr. Dabiri, what happened after November will never happen again, because we've now have put proper structures in the government that should have been there, but they're now there thanks to everyone's hard work. Regarding whether or not I'm upset, it's interesting. I feel like Biafrans are much more upset on my behalf than I am. I've always received so many messages from Biafrans expressing how upset they are in terms of certain insults I've received. My attitude is this. I'm not concerned by people who are non-entities, right? So, for example, if I'm walking down the street in New York and there's a homeless guy who's angry and shouting something at me, you just ignore it, right? You don't get upset about it. You just walk past the person. It's the same thing here. I'm not going to get upset over a person or persons who are complete non-entities saying things about me. So I'm not upset. Sometimes I find it amusing, but I can't. I'm not going to take seriously people who are random individuals or non-entities who try to attack me, people who are not relevant, right? To be upset about something, let's say if someone's attacking you, the person has to be of some relevance. I'm not going to get upset over people who are not relevant who are attacking me. So it'd be different. Like, for example, if President Tinubu came out and said something crazy about me, that would be different, right? I would have to address that. But someone who's a random person somewhere saying something nonsensical, it's something that's so low level, it's not even worth my response. So I'll just put it that way. So the short answer is no, it's not a concern.
Thank you, Honorable Elias. So, to those miscreants that will be in the comment section writing all manner of trash, you just heard our Honorable Mr. Elias that he's not worried. He's not worried of your idiosyncrasy. He's not worried about your low mentality of understanding how things goes. He is a legal representative and he is open to criticism. So he can face you head on. And he's not running away from anyone that comes because he expects them to come. Because if he is not delivering and doing something amusing, you wouldn't be anyway attacking him. So he's actually hitting the zoo on the balls. And that is why all of you are gathered to go about attacking him or demeaning his name, blackmailing and slandering him. Thank you, Honorable Elias. And that brings me to another question. We sat down on the media and then we saw a classified communication of you and the Prime Minister posted out in the media. How do you react to that?
Well, again, if you have erratic individuals who, as I said, I'm not going to be concerned about people who are random non-entities. Again, that was amusing. And from what I understand, that individual has been banned from Twitter for engage in violating the rules of Twitter and trying to dox individuals, leak private information, blackmail people, and all sorts of inappropriate conduct. So that random individual is now banned from Twitter. So that's already been taken care of. And again, I will be concerned about people who are serious and people who are of a certain level, and then I'll address those people. So, for example, if the Nigerian government, right, let's say sent Bianca Ojukwu to Washington to compete against me in terms of lobbying for congressmen and senators, I'll take that seriously, and I'll address her if necessary. Or if Tinubu himself comes to Washington to compete against me and the Biafran acting prime minister to gain influence with senators and congressmen and counter a message, I'll take that seriously, and I'll address I'll address someone at that level. I'm not going to address someone who's a random individual. So also, I'll make another broader point too. I'm not upset. Yes, look, I think some of the people who are attacking me are Nigerian agents and paid people and operatives and so forth, and they'll always be targeting me. There are Biafrans who have unfortunately attacked me and other people like yourself. I don't necessarily think they're bad people. I think, unfortunately, and this is a much longer discussion, Biafrans on one hand are enormously talented, but on the other hand, sometimes can have very self-destructive tendencies, which include trying to attack the very people who are trying to help them. And I don't think it's coming out of malice. I just think there are people who have these very, unfortunately, I think some Biafrans just have very self-destructive tendencies. And so I empathize with that. I'm not angry with those individuals. It's very unfortunate, but I'm not upset with them. That being said, I'm not going to sit around and let myself be backstabbed by any particular individual. So, Biafrans should know that, I will always be with them. I'll always look out for their interests. I will never betray them. Some of them might try to betray me, but again, I'll always do what's necessary to protect myself. So, providing some of that context as well.
Thank you, Honorable Elias. The next question goes like this. After the declaration of the restoration of the United States of Biafra in Lahti, Finland, what are the next on the table that you have for the Biafran people?
Is that addressed to the acting prime minister or myself, or we could both answer that question?
Yeah, we can both answer, but it goes to you first. What do Biafra people expect from your global strategies agency?
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're hitting the ground running with the new Congress. We've met with many members of the House of Representatives, of the U.S. Senate. We met with, and you've seen some of the posts. We've met with people like Senator Brian Schatz on the Foreign Relations Committee, people like Senator Haggerty, the new senator from Ohio, Bernie Moreno. Recently, we met with Congressman Greg Meeks of New York, who's the former chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, currently the ranking member, and someone who is deeply knowledgeable about and passionate about Africa. So we're continuing to spread awareness, meet with the top people, but also we're asking for specific requests of things to be done, which again, I can't advertise too much. It's interesting, Sonny, even the U.S. officials know that Nigeria is dangerous and they have agents and they try to sabotage. U.S. officials have told me, on different things that we've discussed doing, hey, don't advertise this until it's done. Otherwise, Nigeria will try to sabotage or do something. So again, we have to be very careful about the specific activities that we're doing, because we don't want Nigeria to sabotage what it is we're doing. But we are meeting with the top people in the House and the Senate on the relevant committees like Foreign Affairs, Foreign Relations, and there are certain specific items that we would like to pursue that we are undergoing. Moreover, we will also start to establish a relationship with the current administration, in particular the State Department, the National Security Council. I know some of the people in the new administration, very good relations with them. Again, with the current administration, there's a huge amount of turnover. There have been a lot of vacancies now in the State Department. A lot of positions have not yet been filled. For example, there isn't yet the new Assistant Secretary for African Affairs. So we need to give it a little bit of time for the new people to come in, but we are already working to establish links and contacts with the administration, with the new State Department, the new team, foreign policy team in the White House. And we will also build a momentum there. So that's also another part of expanding the step. And, we've already have cultivated great support in the think tank community. We've had Michael Rubin, who the American Enterprise Institute, very well respected, who's been amazingly supportive. Doug Bandow of the Cato Institute. And so, we're in a very good position. Something I do want to say, when I've introduced U.S. officials to the Biafran community, or people in the Biafran community, or let's say brought them to the convention in Finland or what have you, I get responses, and positive responses, and U.S. officials have told me, I've never met such an enthusiastic group of people. I've never, met such an exciting group of people, and it makes an impression. People have commented to me saying, "Wow, these Biafrans are boosting me on Twitter, or they're just so enthusiastic when I talk with them," and that makes them more inclined to be supportive, to be engaged. So I think, as people in Washington also get to know Biafrans on a person-to-person level, that will also be helpful to our cause as well. So we're moving into next stages, and there's a lot of work to be done. So it's going to be incremental in terms of additional steps we'll take in Congress. The eventual goal being major legislation or action from the White House. So I'm very excited about what's coming. And the acting prime minister could also highlight this. And he could also talk about his engagements when meeting with senior U.S. officials and members of Congress. And the acting prime minister has been excellent in all of our meetings with members of Congress. So I turn it over to the acting prime minister.
Yes, acting prime minister, the ball is in your court now.
All right, thank you, Elias. What we are doing, I just want Biafrans to know that it's a process, and we all need to get used to the process. You cannot jump from point A to point Z. So from A to B, from B to C. And at the same time, while we are doing that, we Biafrans as well need to help ourselves. The land of Biafra is our land, it's our territory, it's our God-given land. So we'll make sure, do whatever we can to chase the enemy out of our territory completely. So while we are fighting the diplomatic war, then in the homeland, we'll be fighting our enemy there as well to make sure that we chase them out, because the land belongs to us and Biafra is already declared. So what is expected, especially I know that international community, they have key interest in what's happening in Biafra land, to see how the Biafran people are taking their land back. Please, fellow Biafrans, while we are waiting for more results from the White House, from our current President Trump administration, we also need to do our homework from the homeland by taking our land, because it's our land. So we need to intensify our effort. But the good news is that every member of Congress that we have meeting with, whether senator or Congress of the House, they are so supportive. And when you talk about Biafra and what is going on, they open their ear wide open. They want to hear more. They want to learn more. Just recently, less than about a week ago, during one of our meetings, I highlight and I let one of the congressmen know, even as I'm speaking, we are still, sitting at home to make sure that send a strict message of our total freedom from the terrorist state of Nigeria, to send a message that the Biafra Republic government in the homeland, that is the de facto government, control the land, that we own our land. So what the congressman, he kind of shocked, say, wow, that is great. So they are following, and we have more meetings. So I believe we're not going to say everything on air here, but every meeting that we have had is positive. And we are blessed to have modern global strategists to represent us as our lobby. They know what they are doing. They are God sent, and they are well connected. So people like that, we respect their firm. We appreciate them coming at this time that we need such people. So thanks, Mr. Elias, for all you're doing on behalf of Biafran people. And we're still going to keep fighting the diplomatic war in Washington, but we'll be having positive response. So thank you. And in days and weeks to come, we still have meetings. It's just a process. Please beg every Biafran just to relax and let the process play out. So we'll be engaging with Congress. And so I'm not going to come here and lay out all the process of what we're going to do the next step, but I'll just assure you that everything is going perfectly the way it should. So thank you.
Thank you, APM. APM, how is the Biafra liberation in the homeland faring under your watch?
Nothing have changed. They are doing what they're supposed to do and what they have been doing. And they have their general commander now, defense minister, which is Butuza. So it's not under my command. So he's the one giving the orders from homeland. So just like as Elias said earlier, a lot have changed in the government. The government is more structured so that we can have the division of labor and shift more power back home and make sure that the homeland de facto government is more structured as well. Because at the end of everything, the Biafra Republic government in exile, when the due time comes, we transit all the power, and when we will now have the homeland de facto government to completely be doing what they're supposed to be doing. By then, the Brgie, that is the Biafra Republic government in exile, when their work is totally be completed, they will now totally hand over everything and transfer of power to the homeland. So the defense in homeland, they are doing very good under the commander, the chief of the defense, which is Igwe Butuza. So nothing has changed. They are still doing what they've been doing, and they are winning the fight against our enemy. I think that's the best I can answer you on the defense from homeland. Thank you.
Thank you, APM. It seems your critics have increased just in a couple of 2 months than what your principal, the Prime Minister, had. Is there anything you're doing differently which your Prime Minister had not done? Is there anything you're doing differently which your Supreme Leader had not done? Is there anything you're doing differently which your eternal leader and the heroes of the past of Biafra had not done? What have you done differently?
The fact of the matter is that nothing is different because we all have the same mindset and we all know what we need. That's our freedom to free ourselves from our enemy, and that have been the focus. So nothing have changed. Our aim and objective is to totally free ourselves from the Nigerian terrorist state. So nothing have changed right from the time of our leader Ojukwu and Philip Effiong. It's all about the total freedom of the Biafran people. So nothing have changed to this date, apart from the government is well structured than it was before. And with the positive feedback that we are receiving from Washington, D.C., that's what I would say that is always what is the, that's what I will actually tell you that is the change that we have now is that we are more structured as a government. That's number one, and the positive feedback from Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Thank you, APM. This question will come to you, and then you can also push it to Mr. Elias, the lobbyist, representative of the Biafran government. As a lobbyist or legal representation of the Biafran government in exile, what does its specifications covers to be RGIE? The Biafran people
Sorry,
want.
could you clarify your question? You said, what about the Brgie?
Your specifications of lines of duty as a lobbyist or legal representative to BRGI. What areas or what and what? Because some Biafrans only know lobbyists. They don't know what a lobbyist has to do for its client. They don't know what a lobbyist has to do for the Biafran people. So what and what will you explain that Biafran people need to understand as a lobbyist of the Biafran government, what the responsibility of the lobbyists is and what they should sit back to expect from the lobbyists?
Right. Well, in terms of, so let me talk about what you could say are my traditional lobbying activities, and also what I do more broadly. So traditionally, a lobbyist, similar to how a lawyer helps a client navigate the legal process, a lobbyist helps a client navigate the political process. As a lobbyist, using personal relations that I have with officials in DC, I'm able to directly communicate the issues of Biafra, of the Biafra government, directly to those senior U.S. officials, whether they're members of Congress, members of the U.S. Senate, the State Department, other agencies within our government. And because people like myself and my colleagues that are at my firm are well-known, well-established faces, we have a certain amount of access that we can use to benefit the clients and causes we represent. So that's just a broadly, the traditional scope of a lobbyist. But I do a lot more beyond that because of my close relationship with the Biafra government, my close relationship with Prime Minister in detention Simon Ekpa, and now the acting Prime Minister Ogochukwu Nekere. I do a lot also behind the scenes in terms of advice, counsel, bringing in other stakeholders that can help the government. For example, I had helped arrange for the Biafra government to hire one of the top international attorneys, Armand Dabiri, who's done an excellent job and has worked with us to implement many changes and reforms that have been very positive for the government. So in terms of what I do as well, I also am a behind-the-scenes advisor, counselor. I do a lot of advisory work and strategic. I give a lot of provide a lot of strategic work to the government as well. So I do traditional lobbying, but I do also a lot of other things because, again, we're not dealing with the regular situation. We're dealing with war of liberation, the establishment of a new country. It requires a lot of things beyond just simply meetings with U.S. officials. Biafra needs relationships. It needs expertise, which I'm in a position to provide. So I do traditional lobbying, but I do a lot of things beyond that as well.
Thank you for that clarification. At least the Biafran people have now gotten the scope of what a lobbyist representing the Biafran government are all working and doing for them. How optimistic are you with the Biafran affair in your capacity?
How optimistic am I? Look, I think we are in a very good shape. We're at a historic moment. Everything is aligned in our favor. I think with the power of our lobbying effort combined with the Biafra government, and now I think, again, a much stronger, more structured government, the efforts at home, I think we are extraordinarily prepared for success. I think achieving Biafra as an independent state is something that's very much a reality. This is not a pipe dream. This is not something that's a fairy tale. This is something very real and very achievable, given the confluence of circumstances, both geopolitically in DC, or politically in DC, and then geopolitically around the world, and then our efforts. And I think we've been very effective in amplifying the voice of Biafra in DC and educating the key stakeholders, the congressmen, the senators, and others regarding Biafra. The only thing, so we will achieve Biafra. I'm confident of that if we continue on our current path. The only thing is we need to make sure that Biafrans limit this tendency towards self destruction or limit the sabotage. I mean, ever since I've become involved since June of last year, I mean, there have been multiple attempts to sabotage what I'm doing and backstab, and thankfully I've survived those attempts on me. But Biafra can be achieved. It's just the Biafrans have to make sure they don't destroy themselves. It's a very simple thing. As long as the Biafrans, are disciplined and then don't do things in the future to destroy themselves and sabotage themselves and engage in self-destructive activities and behaviors, we will achieve what we want. But if the Biafrans insist on sabotaging themselves, then it'll be very difficult. So I think it's also up to the Biafrans. We're here to help. We'll get the United States government to help, but the Biafrans need to also, make sure that they're disciplined so we can cross that finish line. And we have a great leader and a great team, people like you, and of course the acting prime minister and Simon. So we have the right people, and I think we can achieve what it is we want to achieve.
Thank you so much, Mr. Elias. There is series of events you've made mention of, your promises to the Prime Minister, and that will push me to play a video reminding the Biafran people of your commitment and your promises to the Prime Minister, and then there will be a follow-up question. So I'm bringing the video now.
Well, thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Jim Moran. I served in the United States Congress for approximately a quarter of a century. After I left the Congress, I began to represent some corporations and countries and causes that I believe in. It has been an honor to work with you, Your Excellency. Elias Gerasulis is my partner. This is primarily Elias's account, but I'm going to be working with him. While I was in the Congress, I was on the committee that funds Defense and State Department foreign operations, as well as the Foreign Relations Committee. I have an interest in Africa. I was a principal co-sponsor of the African Growth and Opportunity Act. But most importantly, I do believe that Biafran Independence is a just and noble cause. And I trust that you have a bright future ahead. We will try to secure your independence. We can't promise because the politics is not a particularly predictable situation in the United States today, and justice is not always served, but we will work towards that objective. I appreciate the opportunity to work on behalf of the Biafran people. And at this point, let me turn it over to Elias. Elias?
Oh, thank you, Jim. And it's an honor to be working with you on this. And we appreciate your lending, your support, someone of your prestige and stature. That association would be so critical. So thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. And thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, Your Excellencies, and dear Biafrans in the United States and around the world. My name is Elias Yarsulis, and I am a good friend and colleague of Congressman Moran, and we are your new lobbyists here in Washington, D.C. However, you should know that we are more than just your lobbyists. We are fellow freedom fighters in the struggle for the liberation of Biafra. And similar to how your compatriots in the Biafran Defense Forces are securing your freedom on the homeland, we will be fighting for your freedom in the political and diplomatic battlefield here in Washington, D.C. And we will make sure that all these U.S. officials, all these congressmen and senators understand that the Biafran Independence movement is a pure democratic civilian uprising against injustice, the very same one that we had in the United States when we declared our independence from the British 200 years ago. On a personal level, I knew I had to get involved in this struggle, not only because of my belief in the Biafran cause, but my belief in His Excellency, the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa. As I got to know the Prime Minister, I could see that he has remarkable leadership qualities and vision. And I knew that instinctively that he was a man of destiny and that he will have a very important impact in Africa in the years to come. And I thought it was a personal duty to assist him. Already, the Prime Minister has made remarkable progress and has outsmarted the Nigerian system in many ways. The Prime Minister has done this with the self-referendum. He has done this with opening diplomatic liaison offices around the world. And I think by establishing a proper Biafran lobby in Washington, D.C., the Prime Minister has delivered his master stroke. And if you can look at the Nigerian media and the social media, you will see that this is something that's been highly publicized. And I think this is because they understand the moment that the United States starts to gain more support for the Biafran cause, it will be a game changer. Because when the United States leads, other countries follow. Congressman Moran and myself are your voice to the U.S. Congress, your voice to the White House, your voice to the State Department, your voice to the highest offices in this great land. And we will not stop until victory is achieved. Long live the free, independent, and sovereign Biafra. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that brilliant speech there. Mr. Elias, it is not only in this official presentation of you and Jim Moran to the Biafran people by the Prime Minister, but on your Twitter post, you have given promises, made commitment statements. Before we went to the convention, there was a town hall meeting of USA, which you appeared, and your words have been consistent. Still, the commitment, your promises to the Biafran people, the Prime Minister, and at the convention, the repetition of it showcased. And after the convention, you have still done same. And when the enemies of Biafra that are hidden within the cabinet of the Prime Minister's government showed their real selves with the mandate that was given to them by the zoo terrorist government of one Nigeria, You played calm. At the end of the day, you did not flaunt any of the vows that you made here. What has kept you so consistent? Because the Biafran people are worried. Is Elias, the Elias that we just know, because there is something special about Elias. Because ordinarily, many people would have run away with all the abuses and everything that they have done. But there is something peculiar about Mr. Elias. He told the Biafran people here in the presence of Prime Minister, they will be the voice to the Biafran people. They will be the eye to the Biafran people in the Congress, in the White House, in the Congress of America, wherever they are in America, they will make sure they stand and defend the Biafran people. I want you to explain something that we don't know, something that is keeping you connected. That secrecy that Biafrans are so curious because you have become so committed and so peculiar. On your words, over to you, Mr. Elias.
Yeah, sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, I think I've been having a connection issue. And so, okay, yeah, previously there was I couldn't hear most of your question. There was a connection issue. Could you just quickly re-summarize your question? I heard you made some statements saying that, so I apologize for the inconvenience. Can you just quickly re-summarize your question? Because I had a connection issue. I could barely hear what you were saying.
Yes. I thank you for coming in back. And network, please allow Mr. Elias to be able to capture everything. I played a video of you here, and there are many other videos where you have given so much commitment to the Biafran cause. And in all this, you have not deviated in what you said. Before the convention, this was far back before the convention. Now, there was a town hall meeting before the convention, which we left in November. You still gave the same commitment. Inside the convention, you gave the commitment again. And after the convention, you gave the commitment again. And since then, you have not disappointed the Prime Minister, neither the Biafran government in exile. What is keeping you going? Or what is that secrecy which you hold so dear that you remain so consistent that you don't go back on your words, unlike others that have come to play pranks with the Biafran people and then run away?
Yes. Well, I am committed to this cause, even during difficult moments and difficult times, which we have gone through. And again, I think it's because there is a higher power at play. I think, I'm in this for a reason. And as such, I feel a very strong obligation to continue to support.
We can't hear you. Hold on, let me refresh from here. Then you also refresh your browser. Okay, those that are not speaking at the moment, that are the backstage of the studio, please, I implore you guys to leave the backstage and then allow only us here, because the internet may be buffering because of your accumulation at the backstage. So leave the backstage now. Leave the backstage so that the studio will be very free. Leave the backstage, please. Leave the backstage, then we'll come back again just to keep. Okay, Mr. Elias, you can go ahead.
Yes. So as I was saying, because I think there's a higher calling here, I just feel obligated to stick with it through the good times, but also the bad times. And we've gone through some very hectic experiences the past few months, and I feel that there's an obligation for me to stick with it this and help Biafrans, because if not me, then who, right? So I feel that I have a special obligation to be involved in this and to see this through to the very end until Biafra is achieved. And I know this. I am needed in this, not just in terms of the lobbying, but just more broadly, that the Biafrans need me to help in their cause in all aspects, because Biafrans face so many formidable enemies, from the Nigerian government to Britain, and then even amongst internally, the saboteurs, as we talked about, the self-destructive tendencies and all this. So I feel a very special obligation to be involved in this, because I know just how much my help is needed. So I will continue to stick through this, and also and again, it's unfortunate. I think some of the Biafrans who are of eminent professional and educational background, whose expertise could be enormously invaluable to the Biafran cause. It's many of those individuals who traditionally not wanted to be involved. Although I think I hope with our progress and our activities that will change. So I know that my experience and my expertise is needed in this cause, and so I will stick through this to the end until we achieve what it is we want to achieve.
Thank you, Mr. Elias. One more question. On the 20th of June, 2024, your firm with the Prime Minister came into a contract term for the Biafran government. This document is in a public domain, and all Biafrans can access it. And is the Prime Minister that is the principal client representing the Biafran government. As it stands now, there has been misinformation and speculations out there in the media in recent days that Prime Minister, because they are using the name of the Prime Minister. Yes, they write memo, put the name of the Prime Minister. They do one thing, they put the name of the Prime Minister. They come out and then they pronounce one thing and then they say, Prime Minister is aware of it. Prime Minister is aware of it. According to the document that is there in the public domain and in the U.S. Department of Justice, the contract that was entered with Moran Global, which is your firm, and the Prime Minister happens to be the only one that has access to endorse anything or to do or undo. What will you say to the misinformation that is going out there? I want you to correct something, because there has been a lot of misinformation going out there that Prime Minister have ended the contract that he established with the Biafran government with your firm. So if you want me to play the video of the misinformation, I can play it.
No, that's not necessary. We don't even have to
address it.
Undignify. Yeah, we don't even have to dignify something so ridiculous. So don't play any video. I mean, it's just absurd. Again, I have a contract, or our firm has a contract that's registered with the Department of Justice, where the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa is the signatory. No one can alter that contract other than Simon or us. Regardless of what anyone proclaims or says. And just as a broader note, someone who's not a part of an organization, or someone who has a different organization, can't tamper with contracts or fire people. Like, to give you an example, right? Just common sense, and for the Biafras, and this is all just common sense, right? Let's say if I go to a restaurant and I proclaim, out of the blue that I'm the owner of the restaurant when I'm not, and I start firing waiters and waitresses in the restaurant, you think that's going to fly? It will definitely not fly. I'll either end up in a jail room or a courtroom, or it will not end up well. Let me put it that way. Especially in a country like the United States, you can't just proclaim you're something and then go into someone else's business or organization and make statements. Legally, it's nonsensical, and in fact, it's illegal. Like, if I were to, let's say, proclaim myself that I'm the president of Goldman Sachs, and then go into Goldman Sachs headquarters and start, yelling at people that I'm firing them, immediately there'll be charges against me. I mean, you can't fraudulently impersonate something that you're not, and then try to interfere in someone else's organization with contracts and agreements and so forth. So that's completely illegal and invalid. So look, I don't care. I mean, this is ridiculous, right? Just because someone claims something, it doesn't give it any legal validity. So people can say whatever they want to say. Someone who's not a part of our organization has no jurisdiction over my agreement, and claiming such is illegal and just completely ridiculous. So, and any of the Biafrans who are confused, again, I want them to try this exercise. Go into someone else's business or go to someone else's organization. Let's say whether it's your local restaurant or your local cafe or the business across the street, self-declare yourself the owner of the business or the organization and start firing people and saying you're changing this contract and that contract, and tell me what happens to you, whether you're living in the US or any other civilized country. I can guarantee you it's not going to go well. And frankly, you might not even end up in a prison. Maybe you'll be in a psychiatric facility because it's not only illegal, it's frankly highly deranged. So that's what I would say. Any Biafran who is entertaining these ridiculous ideas, they should try this in their own lives. Proclaim yourself. Again, I don't care. Look, someone could call themselves, I'm the queen of Biafra, I'm the king of Biafra. I mean, okay, good for you. So again, any of these Biafrans, try this kind of behavior in your personal life. Go into someone else's business or organization and start saying that contracts are nullified and you're firing people. Let's see what happens. I can guarantee you it will not go well, but maybe the psychiatric facilities need more people. I don't know. So anyways.
Thank you, Elias. The way you address this matter makes me laugh. And there is one thing I wanted to also talk to Biafrans about. A lot of Biafrans have been misinformed about BRGIA, that is Biafran Republic Government in Exile, being a legal entity that gives birth to the restoration of the independent United States of Biafra, confusing it with the United States of Biafra. We have educated them, made them to understand that United States of Biafra cannot get recognition for itself, but there must be a legal entity that is standing as BRGIA, as a government in exile, that has to work as an intermediary, a connecting rod between the Biafran people and the American government and the international community to be able to get the recognition for the United States of Biafra. Many of them have been misinformed that after the declaration of the restoration of the United States of Biafra, that BRGIE should not exist again. We have educated them to understand the differences between BRGIE and the proposed United States of Biafra? Please, in your own way, as our legal representative, please, I want you to also explain to them, let them understand.
Yeah, I think part of the issue was going into the Finland Convention. And I actually remember I had a conversation with Simon about this where I encouraged him to do videos, some videos to explain to Biafrans the difference between a recognition and declaration or redeclaration. But, you know, having a declaration is just one step in the process of recognition or establishing an independent state. It's not a goal in and of itself. And I think part of the problem, and this is not a criticism, I think is a lot of Biafrans who got caught up in the emotions, right, of the convention and going to Finland and so forth, didn't really necessarily understand that distinction. You know, a declaration for the sake of the declaration without additional steps does not establish an independent country. Like, for example, there have been previous pronouncements and declarations in the past. For example, you know, 20 years ago, Ralph Urzuwike Massa made proclamations and declarations that Biafra was declared. Didn't really mean anything, right? To be frank, you know, what matters is number one, again, control of your territory, which Biafrans are working on. Number two, engaging in the proper political instruments to legitimize recognition, like the referendum, the self-referendum in which 50 million people voted. That's critical. So a declaration is really just a technical procedure that is part of a much broader process of establishing sovereignty and then the recognition of that sovereignty. But I think the problem is some Biafrans just got so emotionally hooked into December 2nd and just the fanfare of that, they didn't really go into understanding the whole process of what it takes to establish a newly independent state. It's a tremendous amount of work with multiple processes. It's not simply a matter of going to Finland and then celebrating. So again, I don't think this is anyone's fault in particular. I think what could have been done is I think there could have been more educational videos explaining to Biafrans, you know, what the process is, what's the difference between declaration, recognition, what are all the different steps that we are taking to establish a sovereign and independent Biafran state. The declaration was an important step, but it's just one of many steps that we still need to take. And I think perhaps some Biafrans, you know, either maybe did not do their own research into this, or I think we could have done more to educate Biafrans as to how international diplomacy works. And also, I think there's an emotional element too, where sometimes people just get caught up in the emotions of the moment without looking at, okay, what's the technical process that we need to go through in order to achieve what it is we want to achieve. So December 2nd was a great step, but it's not simply, okay, December 2nd, and then that's it. There are many more steps now we have to engage in. So I hope that clarifies things for Biafrans, and you know, I hope this alleviates that confusion. I think some Biafrans might have been confused and thought, you know, the declaration was the end all be all. No, it's one part of a multi-tiered process. So I hope that can that clarifies any confusion.
Yeah, thank you. That is elaborate enough. Honorable APM, I'm coming to you now. And please, I want you to clarify these questions for Biafra so that you put the enemies of Biafra to shame. There has been this propaganda and blackmail and slander making the rounds that the Prime Minister, when he was here, called you up on several occasions to come and give accountability to the Biafran government, and then you ran away in the meeting. What can you answer to the Biafran people so that they will be of the know and know what should fly and what should not fly and where they should not be onto?
Just like Elias said earlier, there's some law level activities by these so low level people. I don't have to be out to debunk every of their nonsense. So whoever that is propagating that already know that they are lying, misleading Biafran people. So that have never happened. And if the way I have been handling the affair of Biafran people, if I have not been handling it correctly, I believe I know who our Prime Minister Mazi Simon Ekpa is, probably more than over 90% of Biafrans. He should have sounded alarm to the Biafran people. And we all have seen how he have dealt with a lot, that he have expelled some from what we are doing, asked some to resign, or suspend some. So me and our Prime Minister, we are like dog and cat, 5 and 6. So we haven't, for once, have a problem. So we work together as a great team. So please, fellow Biafrans, disregard the lies and propagandas. And please don't expect that all these low-level people will be out every minute, every day to debunk their lies. I set my eyes on the prize. That is the diplomatic war. I call it diplomatic war. Because when we're out here in Washington, D.C., we take our case to them. We preach to them the reason why they should support us. And we educate them of what they don't know. We believe they know a lot, but not really. So we educate them of what they don't know about what is going on in Biafra land. And remember, don't expect Washington, D.C. or U.S. to come to help you without you stretching your hand, asking for the help. That is what we are doing in Washington. They've been expecting us to do the right thing by coming to them with our complaint, what we need, and how they should help. So all the lies and propaganda, please disregard. I focus my eyes on the prize, how we can get help from Washington, D.C., of which the response is overwhelming. If I have problem with our Prime Minister or with the Biafran people, or how I'm handling the fund of Biafra, I don't believe I would still be here talking. And I don't believe before our Prime Minister was called to call for so-called questioning that the Biafran people not going to know about it. Thank you.
Thank you, APM. APM, how do you explain the fact that the people that have been with a Prime Minister never dragged him out for accountability of his work when he was here? And then they now set up a group to now drag the Prime Minister's out for his records in his absence while he is in detention. How do you describe that kind of treachery?
All right. The fight that we are fighting, we have a lot of enemy within. His absence have created that vacuum. And it's been over 2 years that we have some groups that have been fighting hard to bring down somebody like me, everywhere meaningful Biafra, who is genuinely fighting for the liberation of Biafra. So the vacuum is absent. This saboteurs, they use the opportunity trying to change everything, discredit everything, trying to change the government, change every structure. At the end of the day, if this group of people have succeeded, they will now fully hand us over to the terrorist country, Nigeria. So that is the game plan. So these groups, they have been waiting. They have been lay low, waiting for a day like this, when probably what happened so that they can now strike. That is exactly what happened. Even till now, some of them don't still believe that the brigade will still be standing and be fighting for the freedom of Biafra. They thought by now the game would have been over. They underrate the brigade. They underestimate somebody like me as well, standing in the gap, acting as the acting prime minister. And remember, months ago, our prime minister as well said that the enemies, both the enemies within and the zoo terrorist country, they're trying to take him out so that they can get to the Biafran people. So, and when that happened, they thought they would succeed. So it surprised them that the brigade able to come together, and through the conflict resolution, which is shared by Honorable Mahmoud, and now appoint and elected a new acting prime minister. Thank you.
Thank you, my APM. There has been a revelation of over 50 million naira, which these people have misled some Biafrans, and they now send the money to a Bubagu terrorist, a group that is fighting against the liberation of the Biafran people. And there has also been over 80 million naira, which they use for propaganda matching. These are all Biafran donations that these breakaway groups deceive some Biafrans to make. At this very point, they have still been the same people coming out to come and make the confessions and to affirm to the atrocities of what they did. What is your advice to the Biafran people who have been misinformed and misled? At the end of the day, their securities have been breached because of falling into the hands of these people.
Fellow Biafrans, our freedom is in our hand. Our sister country, the Ambazonia, I quote from Dr. Shu Ayoba, where he said, freedom is not given, it's taken. Our freedom is in our hand. Our actions is what will propel and catapult us to the highest height. It's what will propel us in getting our freedom as quick as possible. The decisions you make will help in restoring Biafra. If you make a bad decision that will set us back, that don't mean that Biafra is not totally going to be restored. It might delay. So please put your money in where it works for you. Don't use what you have to destroy yourself. So we have to be wise and smart in doing the right thing. So please, for those of you that are funding the terrorists to kill your own people, desist from it. We have the brigade government and the de facto government, which have been helping the homeland. Nothing have changed. Still keep doing what you are doing when our leader Mazin Nnamdi Kanu is here with us, and when our prime minister is here with us. So you know the right source to fund your liberation. Still keep doing what you'll be doing. Nothing have changed. Don't use your fund to destroy yourself. Don't use your fund to invite the terrorists to kill you. Don't use your fund. Don't cause self-destruction to yourself, because your actions and the decisions you make, it matters. So I encourage every Biafrans that have been following for over 2 years, if you know what you have been doing for the past 2 years and the right website and the right place, you should contribute your fund to help the people of Biafra in their liberation. Keep doing it. Nothing have changed. Please, for whoever or any group parading any account information, disease from it, don't contribute your money to where they will use your money to sponsor terrorists that will destroy you. Just like what United States of America is doing now. When we talk about the US aid, somehow, the money from US aid able to sneak in from the bad actors to the terrorists, and actually Boko Haram is partaker of that. And if we can see what's going on, they're working very hard from the Capitol Hill to make some changes, of which funding of terrorists that will come to destroy Biafra land, the West and the entire humanity, they try to put a stop to that. So please, fellow Biafrans, likewise, don't fund terrorists that will destroy you, that will prevent you from getting your paradise of Biafra, from getting your dream country back, from restoring a country where there is milk and honey, that you will be able to use that and be one of the country best in the world. And we believe that when Biafra is fully restored, Biafra has a lot to offer to the whole global community. Biafra want to be part of this wonderful world that is created by our Chukwu Okike Abiyama, our God. We are not terrorists. Please, let's use our money to fund what will give us life, to fund our freedom, not terrorists. Thank you.
Right. Sonny, I'm happy to add to that as well, because essentially your question, right, is, how Biafrans who realize that they made a mistake in terms of moving away from the Biafra government into other things, how they should, why they should come back into the fold, right, or support what we're doing. I think I understood your question correctly. Here's the challenge I'm going to give to Biafrans. I think we talked previously about some of Biafrans being talented, but having certain issues or certain self-destructive tendencies. I think one of the weak points, or the challenging points rather, right? It's a double-edged sword that Biafrans have, is the ego and the pride, right? And I think there may be many Biafrans who realize, oh, we've made a mistake and we should support the acting prime minister, the Biafra Republic government in exile, but they may be tempted to simply stay on the side, right? Because they feel like, well, if I admit I'm wrong, then, I'll look bad, or, my ego can't take it, so I'm just going to sit on the side. And I think that's the worst thing that can happen. There are people, for example, who are in the IPOB DOS who realize, oh, this Simon has been very successful and what he's doing is working. But I can't join with that because I've attacked him in the past, and it'll be very embarrassing for my ego, and so I'm just going to sit on the side and just not do anything. This is a very, again, shooting oneself in the foot. It's very important that if one, being able to acknowledge that one made a mistake and being able to do what's necessary and to be pragmatic is critical. So, I give as a challenge to Biafrans who, let's say, are tempted to sit on the side because they're too prideful to admit that perhaps they got something wrong, to be able to swallow their pride to do the right thing. Because if Biafrans, are not able to overcome their internal weaknesses, then achieving our goal will be more difficult. The Fulani are very astute. They understand the shortcomings or the weak points that Biafrans have, and then they strategically try to exploit it in terms of, let's do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, so we could create drama, so we could create chaos, so then the Biafrans can then get into fights among themselves. So it's important for the Biafrans to know, okay, we have to be more smart, more strategic, not fall into the same types of traps. So that would be my challenge. I know I spoke a little bit frankly, but I think that's Biafrans who are now reconsidering their position, who are thinking of coming to our side, but are tempted to stay on the side due to their pride and not wanting to admit that maybe they were wrong about something. They shouldn't be concerned about that. They should be able to overcome that pride and also know that they'll be welcomed in a very friendly manner with open arms. So I hope that gives some useful insight.
Yes, Mr. Elias, I want to say a very big thank you to you. This is not supposed to have even lasted this far, but out of your tight schedule, you've given us this time, this far, and we really appreciate. And we also say very big thank you to all your sacrifices and your commitment to the Biafran people, and how you are so responsive to the Biafran people on the Twitter X handle. You have not just exemplified a legal representation, but you've been like a fellow Biafran fighting the same cause, educating us, clearing some doubt, telling us what we need to do, how we need to do it, where we go wrong, where we have to amend, what we should do, what we should not do. And even when Biafrans ask questions, you don't hesitate to respond to them. You explain. And you do it in a very submissive way that you don't even take it to heart with the anger and the abusive words they use against you. So we really appreciate your humility and your presence and your sacrifice and your willingness and commitment to stand to defend the Biafran people. You said something and you promised to the Prime Minister. And the last word you said, which keeps on ringing in the minds of many, is that we will achieve USA recognition for Biafra. We look forward to seeing that come to actualization. Thank you so much. As I give you the mic to give your closing remarks so that you can retire to your very office. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I just want to say it's an incredible honor to be here. It's great to be here with you to address the people Biafra. We will continue to push their cause in Washington, and we are on the right track. We're on the fast track, and we are well positioned to succeed. Again, to go to my previous point as well, the Biafrans who out of whatever, again, some of these issues we talked about have attacked me, they should know it's perfectly fine. I'm not upset with them, and if they see the daylight and they realize that they've made a mistake, I'm happy to forgive them for their confused their confusion. I'm aware of some of these issues that Biafrans face, so I'm very non-judgmental about it, and I'm happy to be accommodating. So, but again, I think we're on the fast track to succeed. We have a historic opportunity with the United States, and I think we're in a position where we can make a deal especially with the stellar leadership in the Biafra government. I just want to say it's a great honor to have so many of you as personal friends, and especially the Prime Minister in detention, Simon Ekpa, and also our acting Prime Minister, Ogochukwu Nikere. He's done a tremendous job, and he's shown a lot of leadership, and it's an honor to call him a friend as well. I know in every meeting he says that I'm his friend, and I think likewise in the same. So thank you again, and I turn it over to our very able acting Prime Minister.
Thank you so much. Acting Prime Minister, over to you with your closing remarks. Thank you for all you do for the Biafran people and for bringing the big fish to us today. The Biafran people had expected him so long, and today you were able to buy out of his tight schedule. And here he has been for the past 2 hours. Thank you so much, APM. Over to you on your closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he's great, and he's doing a good job for Biafran people. You know, actually, not everything we do that have to be out in public, but we are working hard. Every day we spend hours talking about how to solve our issue, how to facilitate Biafra freedom. Even as of yesterday, we spent probably over 8 hours in person. We have some couple meetings yesterday which haven't even been public yet. So he's really working hard for Biafran people. We appreciate him. Thank you, Elias. I know this is not supposed to be public yet, but even as of yesterday, we have meetings in Washington. So, and I want Biafran people to remember something. When Dr. Shu Ayoba was called for their so-called question, he saw the same question. If our sister country, which we have close relationship with, we are all family, Ambazonia. If the Ambazonia people have given up, if the Ambazonia people have said, oh, it's over, now they call our leader for so-called question. Do you think the United States of America will be talking about them? And we have seen on social media where United States of America, you know, they make it clear to Norway what they need to do. A similar situation we find ourselves. What we are doing, our activity, we facilitate our Prime Minister release for this so-called question. They are keeping him there, watching us, trying to see if we will destroy ourselves. He's not there because of his own personal gain. They did not call our Prime Minister because of his business dealing. They call him because of the quest of Biafra, because of the freedom of Biafra. The ball is in our court. We Biafrans need to rise up, let the world know we are ready, buckle up our seatbelt, do what is right, stop fighting ourselves, stop blackmailing ourselves. And for those content creators, the low level, what am I going to call them? People that think less than Biafrans. Biafrans are smart people. We are intelligent people. We are wise. Don't expect me after this, your lies and propaganda, I will be dancing naked with you on the street or on the internet. Don't expect me to come out every minute, every second to debunk your nonsense. Real Biafrans know when you tell them the truth. If you're a real Biafran, by now you don't know the truth, you need to reevaluate yourself. Our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said, when you speak truth to the Biafran people, they will follow you. If you are really Biafran and you're hearing the truth day after day, and you decide to still sabotage what we're doing, and you decide just because you don't like Mazi Simon Ekpa, our prime minister, or because you don't like the APM, maybe the way he speak, the way he talk, you must be the #1 joker of the century. I'm not doing this for myself. It's for Biafra. If you don't like me, take that aside. Like your people, Biafra. Like Biafra as a country. Like Biafra as a nation. We are not doing this for our own personal gain, but it's for the freedom of Biafra at large. The world is watching. Our prime minister have not been guilty or charged of anything than they are suspecting. Suspecting what? What they are suspecting to see if you and I will fight and quench because of our freedom. We are not going to let them succeed. That's why day and night I'm doing everything I can to work for Biafra, to fight for Biafran people. My good friend Elias here can testify. It's like I live in Washington. We'll be having meetings, making sure that the US government hear our voice, and we'll be getting positive response day after day. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. How do you think our prime minister will feel where he is, and our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that the fight that they have sworn and they are fighting for, because of the same fight they were called for so-called question, and our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, was kidnapped from Kenya. How do you think they will feel where they are, finding that we are fighting harder for the same cause? They will feel good. It will boost their morale, knowing that the people they left behind are doing the right thing. And if you're one of those that are funding the Bubago to kill your own people, please this from it. We need fund to liberate ourselves. We have a lot of Biafrans that be chased from their home. We have a lot of Biafrans that their business been destroyed, burned to ashes. All these people need to be taken care of. And with your fund, it will be possible. Please, thank you. And we appreciate you, Elias. We have a lot of engagement in Washington, D.C. It's a process. For those of you that are asking questions that you haven't seen us in a round table with video, signing papers, there's a process. Not everything will be in public. We're not going to come out in public and throw our last dice, then our enemy will use it against us. But we are moving as fast as we can. The Nigerian terrorist state, they cannot come to Washington, D.C. and operate the way we Biafrans operate. Because United States of America, known Biafran, that Nigeria as corrupt and terrorist country. Thank you all, and thanks media team, Honorable of Information, Mazi Sonny Abarawa, you and your entire team. Thank you. Greeting from here.
Thank you.
Thank you.